Unfortunately, another sad story. The police were responding to a scene and they got into an altercation. We don't know much about it because the police haven't said much about it, which is pretty much standard operating procedure. But we have another dead man. Another 30-year-old was killed by the police. A new case that unfortunately we have to go through here because it feels like this is going to be another one where the cops just get away with everything. And I'm just so sick of it. So it's time to call these cops out for what they have done. And they're being very quiet about it, which just adds insult to injury. This story comes over from mercurynews.com. We have a couple different stories. We have a video, 2 different videos that we're going to play. A little bit of a content warning on this. We're going to go through the video very briefly. You don't see any dead bodies. You don't see anybody with a knee on a neck or anything like that, but just a little bit of a content warning when we get to it. All right, so this story comes from Mercury News. Please don't kill me, in quotes. The family challenges the Antioch police account of a man's detainment before death. Department took more than a month to confirm death that occurred 3 days after a man went unconscious at police hands. Coming out of Antioch, we have saying they trusted the police too much. The family of a man who died 3 days after going unconscious while being detained by the Antioch police officers made explosive claims Thursday about what happened, a version of events that are different from those given by the police, who waited more than a month to acknowledge the death publicly. And I went on their Twitter. They haven't posted anything since 2019. Went on their website, no public statements. Angelo Quinto died days after the December 23rd, 2020 incident. According to an attorney, John Burris, who has filed a claim against the city on behalf of Quinto's family, the 30-year-old died after an officer placed his knee on Quinto's neck. The second officer held his legs. As police toppled him, the family said Quinto pleaded with the officers, quote, "Please don't kill me. Please don't kill me." He never regained consciousness after the incident and died 3 days later at a hospital. This is his family with their shirts on, holding hands, missing their loved ones. The family comforted each other during a news conference, announced the filing of legal claim alleging the wrongful death of Angelo by the police officers. Pronounced 3 days later. Does that sound familiar? It does, right? Because this is the same thing that happened with Daniel Prude, which we just talked about very recently. Daniel Prude was basically suffocated to death. He had an officer do a full body plank on him, collapsed his windpipe, collapsed everything. He died from asphyxiation as a result of the onsetting of physical force, whatever the autopsy said. Died several days later. Same thing here. Awful. Man dies after police kneel on his neck for nearly 5 minutes, according to the family. So we know this 30-year-old Northern California man. He was also, just like Daniel Prude, undergoing a mental health episode. Police kneeled on his neck for nearly 5 minutes to subdue him. Angelo Quinto had been suffering from anxiety, depression, paranoia for the previous few months, his family's attorney said in a wrongful death claim. His sister Isabella Collins called the police to their Antioch, California home because she feared he would hurt their mother, they said. John Burris said. This happens all the time. People think that the police are going to come and help them, and things are awful. I can't tell you, I've made this point before on this channel, how many times we've had people come into the office and say, I will never call the police again. Never. Because of how they got treated. Somebody's having an emergency. Somebody's overly intoxicated. Somebody's having a meltdown. Family member calls the police. My father's doing something wrong. 16, 17-year-old kid, could be a wife, multiple adults, could be a brother, mother, father, doesn't matter. Come help. I've been conditioned to believe that the police are going to come and help resolve this situation. Talk it down, break it up, mellow it out, turn the volume down. Cops show up, somebody's getting arrested, somebody's typically injured, property can be broken, turns into this huge nightmare. Multiple people are charged with crimes. Their lives are a disaster. Cops rummage through everything, ripping drawers out, searching for drugs, searching for weapons, whatever. Ruins lives. And that's not what the family wanted. They wanted somebody to come and talk him down, take him to a doctor, take him to a hospital, take him to a mental counselor, something. People don't know what the solutions are. We're having an emergency. I'm supposed to call 911, thinking they're going to get some help. 911 says, yeah, we're going to send the friggin' SWAT team over to your house. Good luck. All right. Cops show up. Guess what? You have a dead kid now. You have a dead, not a kid, 30 years old. Dead man. All right. Not a good call on that one. Before the police arrived, Quinto's mother had been holding him to her chest with her hands clasped around his back for a few minutes. He had already started to calm down, the claim stated. When two officers from the Antioch Police Department arrived, Burris said they made no attempt to understand the situation. Instead, they immediately grabbed Quinto from his mother's arms. We're going to see their reenaction of this video here in a minute. He lost consciousness and was taken to the local hospital, where he was pronounced dead 3 days later. Mother used a cell phone to record part of the incident. We're going to watch a little bit of that. We have the aftermath of it. What happened, she says breathlessly, as Quinto is not seen moving or laying on his front. Officers roll him over to carry his body out, and his face is bloody. He is moved to a gurney, and paramedics administer chest compressions on Quinto as his mother records on her phone, asking questions. It was not clear from the video if the officers were wearing body cameras. Guessing not. As far as we know, they were not, said Burris. Burris is their attorney. Burris is their lawyer, the family's lawyer. As far as we know, they were not. So does he have an answer on that? Doesn't sound like it. In the nearly 2 months since Quinto's death, police have not issued a press release on the incident. The Antioch Police Department and the Contra Costa County Sheriff's Coroner's Division did not respond to requests for comment on Monday. Nothing. These Antioch police officers had already handcuffed Angelo, but did not stop their assault on the young man, and inexplicably began using the George Floyd technique of placing a knee on the back and side of his neck, ignoring his pleas of, "Please don't kill me." Cause of death is still pending. Coroner's office told CNN on Monday death is under investigation by the district attorney's office. Isabella Collins said she called the police in hopes they would help de-escalate the situation. "I don't think I will ever not feel bad," she told CNN. "If it was the right thing to do, it wouldn't have killed my brother." The Antioch City Clerk and Attorney's Office did not respond to requests for comment. So I tried to find the notice of claim from his attorneys, didn't see it, couldn't find it anywhere. Maybe he hasn't posted it publicly, and maybe the city hasn't posted it publicly. No statements from Antioch police, no statements from anybody on this. So let's take a look at the aftermath from the mother. A little bit of content warning here. At this point in this video, Angelo is not dead. He's unconscious. We're going to see him on the floor. His hands are cuffed behind his back. Not good. Not in a good shape. Most of the interaction is over. You're going to see what the cops are doing. Hey, obviously we didn't do this. I want to point this out. The cops we didn't do this. Well, what happened? Angelo, hey, you awake? Hey, what happened here? I don't know what happened. This is weird. Well, you just had your knee on his neck, apparently, according to the family, for 5 minutes. Maybe it was that. But no, they're going to say, did he eat today? What is he, diabetic? No. Yeah, he ate. He's fine. Any illegal drugs? I don't know. And they're trying to find other reasons why he died. And maybe there are other reasons. Or maybe it's because they knelt on his neck for 5 minutes. So here's the aftermath of it.
What happened?
Angelo, is he on any medication?
Face is
Not
bloody.
that I know of. Come on, can you take him, please? Please.
Yeah, we got Tart.
Still in handcuffs, totally unconscious.
What happened?
So now they're going to take the handcuffs off, and they are going to bring in the portable gurney. So they're going to throw him on this cloth. Mom is still breathing heavily.
Did he eat today?
I came from work. When I came home, he was sleeping.
Okay. So he hasn't been sick that you know, otherwise a fever.
He's not been sick. Don't know if he ate anything. Totally unconscious, bloody face.
You got that? Yeah, you gotta go back that way. You gotta go eat first. Yeah, just eat.
Does he have a pulse? What's happening?
He was just breathing.
Huh?
I'm not sure. You didn't see him take anything?
I don't know.
You would help them out if you got
No,
no illegal drugs?
I have no idea because like what I said, I came from work.
No
I came
illegal
home, he
drugs?
was sleeping.
Which one's his room?
It's that one.
And then,
Oh my god. Seriously?
All right, so we'll stop it at that. But you know, they're trying to bring him back. Any illegal drugs? What's his room? We're gonna look around here. Probably those drugs. You know, it's always the drugs. It's always the drugs. Okay. George Floyd was on drugs. Got it. Daniel Prude was on drugs. We got it. If he's on drugs, okay, fine. What about the fact that you were leaning on his neck with multiple officers on his back for a long period of time, at least according to the family? And if that isn't the case, then why don't we know that? If the police wanted to put out a statement, they've had 2 months to do it. Where is their statement? Not out. Nobody's even talking about it. Bizarre. Disgusting and bizarre that they're not even responding to this stuff. All right. So he was a Navy veteran, by the way. Knelt on his neck. Navy veteran who was going through an episode of paranoia, died after Northern California police officer knelt on his neck for several minutes, family member said. Already covered most of this information. Video recorded. We've got a family. They filed a legal claim, so the department has 45 days to respond. And his attorney is still calling it the George Floyd technique. Burris said there were other issues with the officer's response, including how they didn't try to de-escalate first and how they failed to turn on their body cameras and the camera in their patrol car. So I've said this before many times. If there is a dispute about what happened, if the police said something happened and civilians say something happened, in my opinion, if the police do not wear body cameras, then they lose the presumption that they were in the right. The civilians should have the presumption that they were in the right. That the cops, if the civilians are saying that cops did something wrong, mom's ready to go with her phone as soon as she can get it going. They come in, they tackle him, he goes unconscious, finally get off of him. He's not moving anymore. Mom goes, "What the hell?" Pulls out her phone, finally starts recording. And then we're going to see in this next clip, the family reenacts what they say happened. So, okay, so we've got a witness. We've got some people saying that this is how it went down. The police are going to come back out and say, no, we did nothing wrong. Everything was fine. We investigated ourselves. Everything was in policy. This was probably something else like drugs. Okay. So if they don't have body cameras on in 2021, where every stinking device that you have has cameras in it, why not? And they don't get to have an excuse anymore. If they can't release that and they can't even come out and give a public statement after 2 months after another man is dead, then they don't get the benefit of the doubt. Sorry. Wear your body cameras. Turn them on. Go get them. I don't understand why there are not mandatory body cameras on every single law enforcement officer in this country at this moment in time. I don't know. I don't get it. Is it a funding thing? Because we can fix that pretty easily. Rather than defund you, how about you just cut your budget on your snacks and Cheetos and go buy body cameras? How about that? We're going to reduce your ammunition threshold a little bit, so you can't just go and just, fire off rounds all the time. We don't want you shooting people anyways. So how about you get some body cameras in your department? Otherwise, they don't get the benefit of the doubt. I think that's fair. Cause of death has not been released by the authorities, and an independent autopsy is pending. The department didn't inform the public about the death until January 25th, when it answered inquiries made by the East Bay Times. After the legal claim was filed, Antioch Police Lieutenant Tara Mendez told the newspaper the investigation is still ongoing and want it to be completed. As soon as it is completed, we'll be able to provide the public with more information, which is total garbage. Total garbage. Okay. It's been 6 months, 7 months, 8 months since George Floyd died. Two things. Number one, police departments around this country have made some modifications to it. I like to sort of beat up on the police departments here on this channel. That's kind of the point of the show. But some of them are responding well. I posted an example of this over on Locals. The Phoenix Police Department has surprisingly been doing a good job developing these rapid response teams that say, as soon as there's a critical incident, they release a critical incident alert. They have some nice looking officer who's articulate in front of a camera saying, ladies and gentlemen, I know you're all pissed about this right now, but before you start torching our neighborhoods, let me explain what happened. They're answering questions. It's transparency. Now, the videos are all, they're all cut in order to support their claim. They go through their argument. The cops come out and say, well, our officer feared for his life, and therefore we had to draw our firearm as is per policy. Okay, great. That's fine. You can craft it in your own narrative. No problems with that. But you got to talk to us. You got to tell us about it. We cannot have this kind of garbage anymore where deaths just sort of float around the police departments for months on end. Why? Because when they don't talk about it, that's when the people around this country start burning buildings down because there's no communication. We're gonna see a lot more of this. We got Derek Chauvin's trial coming up. People get mad and they just start creating their own stories in their head. And when the police don't come out and discuss it, they look really bad. How do you give them the benefit of the doubt? No body cameras, no statements. The investigation is still pending. That is pre-George Floyd language. That is not allowed anymore. We want answers. We want them now, rapidly. Justice delayed is justice denied. We're so sick and tired of the police departments just waiting around for 6 months until everybody forgets about it and moves on to the next outrage. We want answers. We want them now. It's unacceptable for them to not be releasing this stuff. Second point, why are they still putting knees on people's necks? Why are they still doing that? Every single person in this country, as far as I know, saw what happened to George Floyd. If every single officer did not see that video, then that is negligence in my mind. They should all have seen that, and they should all know, hey, maybe don't do that to people when they're lying on the ground in handcuffs. Not good. Not acceptable. And so they're just going to go through the same old tried and true police deferment of any responsibility. They're going to blame it on an investigation going on. Then when the autopsy is completed and they finally release the stories, it's probably going to be drugs because it's always drugs. All right. Officers had no idea what was going on. Sorry. His face is bloody. Did mom do that? Did mom punch him in the nose? Or when the police threw him on the ground, did he crack his head into the floor? Police just, another body. Just get hey, John, bring over the gurney. All right. Where are the drugs? Any illegal drugs in this house, Mom? No, you jerks. You're the ones who just did that to the guy. Let's see what the family says about him. Let's see their version of how this went down. We got more from the family than we got from law enforcement. The people who are supposed to serve and protect the community, they're not doing anything. But the family now has given us some indication of what actually happened. Here it is.
And they make a comment to the effect of how strong your mom is, how strong the mom is, and Angelo's not saying anything. So then the police officer then pulls him.
Picks him up, yes. And then he says, please don't kill me.
Yeah, he goes right to the floor,
Please don't kill me.
Please don't kill me. He's down. He's turned.
Oh, yes,
so,
like that.
There you go. So now what we have is a knee on his back of the neck, the head.
When did they handcuff him?
They
hold on.
handcuffed him too.
Then they handcuffed him.
Yeah.
And then but hold on here. You got the hands, and you got, and then you have the knee.
Like that.
And that, go back a little bit more. Go back, yeah, right in there. Okay. Okay, is that it?
Yeah.
That's it?
Yeah.
It's
And-
the wrong position.
Hmm?
So it's a little bit off.
Yeah, but it's very,
This is basically the position.
yeah,
though.
yeah,
Okay, so that's,
Yeah.
and this position is held
yeah.
for at least from 4.5, or maybe 4.5 to 5 minutes. And then when they get up, they turn to the side. You notice he's bleeding. Mom makes a statement to the effect that, is he all right? Or where's that effect?
Yeah.
And so then he's there, he's handcuffed, the police,
Is he dead?
paramedics, somebody make a comment as he did, and the paramedics come and move. But that's the position that he was in.
Yeah, so we got some good content over there from the Mercury News. So that, we have a story from them. The police haven't said anything. They're the ones who have the ability to have body cameras on. Apparently they don't know if they were even on or they had them on at all. No statements. So in the total vacuum of information from our public servants, well, we can just take the family's word for it. Now, the defense attorneys for the police are going to have a lot of fun with that. They're going to, they said it wasn't really right. It wasn't on his neck. It was on his back, and it was all this. And so it couldn't have been him that killed him, and on and on and on and on. But the point is, he was alive. They got there. He was dead. Okay. Did mom do it? I don't think so. I don't think mom punched him in the nose. Let's jump into some locals.com/watching the watchers questions. We've got Pinky2 says, my God, why do police get into a mindset when they are working? Well, it's part of the training and it's part of the culture, Pinky. Everything's a threat. They're basically trained that every single traffic stop is a potential death sentence for them. And there's some truth to that, right? I mean, you go out into the real world, kind of everything you do has some danger to it. So I understand that. I don't think it's a bad argument. I think that they are at a higher risk than other people. But if you do, by the way, if you look this up, the most deadly jobs in America, police departments are like number 17 on the list, maybe even further down than that, right? The last I looked, I found a list of 100. They were like 17. Okay, the people who hang the power lines, they're like number 2. They die all the time because they're up high. They're dealing with high voltage and power. It's like one of the most risky jobs. So we want to keep all this stuff in context. These people are responding to a medical health emergency and they left with a dead body. Not quite there, on the way to being dead. But it's a cultural thing. We're always under threat and we have to act accordingly. And so they don't just say, hey, Angelo, what's going on, man? You want to talk about this? We can help. Come on, step outside. Let's see what we can do. Immediately onto the ground. This guy's a threat. Handcuffs, smash his face. He's dead. Hack Consulting says, unfortunately, with as long as this thing has been going on, both the police need to be kicked in the ass and these cop callers too. Instead of handling an issue within their control, they immediately call someone else with the authority to do it. People who are allowed to abuse this authority, instead of walk outside, get a cooler head, and come back in, lazy. Just XUXA says, so sad and disturbing this video is. Thank you, Robert, for enlightening my viewpoint about the police. I support the good ones, but this is just so wrong on many levels. I support the good ones too, Just XUXA. I do. I really do. I've said this before on this show. One of the best gifts I've ever gotten was from a police officer who didn't let me go into a room that I should not have gone into to see my brother who was no longer with us. Was an amazing gift. And I thank that officer very regularly in my mind. I want the good officers out there. I want to support them. But when we have an institution that protects the bad ones, even the good ones who are in there, in my opinion, they're part of a bigger problem. And unless they're speaking up within the police department, then they're not doing anybody any good. All right, we got Wise One says, cameras save a lot of people's lives in lawsuits. I had 6 people say we ran a red light. We send the video over in minutes. The officer wrote the accident report correctly. We did not run the red light. Cameras everywhere. Totally agree with that, Wise One. Cameras everywhere. They should be on every single cop at all times and not allowed to be turned off. Joe Snow says, cops keep violating rights until they kill, and worst case scenario, end up a gypsy in the next town over after a 3-week paid vacation. Why do we keep pretending we need to keep supporting local unelected law enforcement? Why not abolish that and expand the scope of the sheriff's office? Well, Joe, you're speaking kind of my language a little bit. I'm not in favor of, defunding the police or eliminating law enforcement. I think they serve a valid function in our society without any question. But why do we keep doing contracts with these unions that protect the bad officers, prevent us from allowing to look back into their disciplinary records, stop at every turn? And the Republicans are the ones most guilty about this. The Republicans are terrible on criminal justice reform issues. They hate big government unless it's a police department. Then no accountability. They love working with the unions. Everybody can do whatever they want. Bloated government, no transparency about anything. It's basically the epitome of what people have problems with the government, conservatives, libertarians. The police embody the entire, it's a perfect synopsis of all of the ills that we all have take issue with our federal government. The police department just embodies that. And for some reason, conservatives just love it. Support the police, law and order. They do no wrong. I think we need to revisit that. Just XUXA says reform, not defund. I agree with that. Want to Know says, how do you get them to leave cameras on? A lot of cameras are off, or was tape accidentally erased? What about uncut videos? Isn't that fabricating evidence. So it depends on the unit. So there's Axon body cameras, and they have different models. And so it just depends on what different model the police get. In Scottsdale, in Arizona, for a long period of time, they would click them on and off. They would turn them on and off. This was a big problem. Defense attorneys had a field day with it. Now they can't do that anymore. We would have one incident, and we would have 10 or 11 different video clips, 10 or 11 different video files. One 5-minute segment here, 6-minute segment here, 7-minute segment over there, and there'd be 30 seconds in between, 60 seconds in between. Not a big deal. Not much was happening there, but they would just say, "Oh, I just clicked it on, clicked it off. I stopped asking questions, I shut it off, clicked it back on." Yeah, right. Leave them on, make it so that they can't cut them off, and I would say make some of it publicly available. If you have a legitimate request for legal purposes, it just goes on the internet. And if you're a lawyer, a judge, if you submit a FOIA request, you want to look into it, and there's no privacy concerns, and we can protect people's privacy and identities, let the public comb through these things and just call out these bad officers. Oh, you know how much they would hate that? If you just unleashed Twitter on an archive like that? Oof. God, you'd be able to root out those bad cops in basically no time. Because they would say, "Oh, it's a violation of protocol. That guy did this guy did this." Most of this stuff is not even reported or reviewed. But if you could unleash the power of the interwebs on it, you'd get to the bottom of a lot very quickly. Next up, we got Pinky2 says, knees don't go on necks, and pepper spray does not get used on children. Generally good rules there, unless you're a police officer. then neither of those rules apply there, Pinky. Something I would never think about, pepper spraying a 9-year-old in handcuffs, jamming my knee in the neck on somebody who's already on the ground in handcuffs. Not something that I think that I would ever do. But I'm also not a law enforcement official. Hack Consulting says, the issue is neither defunding nor reforming. The issue is quite simply society. While there are things that could be fixed, the whole issue is that we think that everything could be perfect when it cannot. We try to employ everyone. We do this and that. Quite simply, the issue is society. All of us, period. It will continue. And why is it bad? Let's minimize it over time instead of trying to figure out how to make it zero. And I'm in agreement with that, Hack. I think that's a good strategy. I really don't typically like sort of big, broad, massive changes in society because I don't think that they work. I think that people often forget about a lot of the perverse incentives that are created as a result of government interference. I do think on this issue that if we focus more on the same principles that made America great, accountability and small governments, local governance, not billion-dollar police departments. I think the budget for the LAPD is like $1.7 billion or something like that. Arizona, it's $1 billion. New York, NYPD's several billion dollars. Huge, huge, huge organizations that are just layered in bureaucracy that just are sort of, in my opinion, just out of alignment with traditional American values. And what we want to do is bring that back down to size, scale it down a little bit, and put some very, I would say, protective for the citizens types of reforms in place so that we can hold them accountable just like we do with other agencies throughout our government, or attempt to do. But I agree, it's not ever going to be perfect, but it can be better. And there are a lot of solutions we propose on this channel that I think will help us get there. We have Just XUXA says, it's not about being perfect. Nobody's perfect here on this earth, period. We are all fallible, but we should strive to do better. I agree. Joe Snow says, is it reasonable to understand that if cops end up inside of my home at any point and decide it's time to go hands-on, I could die, and I'm expected not to resist? That is reasonable. Yeah, that is reasonable. If the cops are in your house, your chance of dying increases dramatically. Is that too much? Is that overbroad? I don't think so. We've seen it happen a number of times. Happened to Breonna Taylor. Daniel Prude wasn't in his house, but had he been, probably would have been dead. Angelo Quinto in his house and dead. So you got to be very cognizant of that. Ma Fox says, great, love it. Investigating themselves is fantastic. Remember, everyone, you cannot provide any exculpatory evidence or testimony for yourself ever. Keep it in mind. The police can, in a lot of cases, makes you think. Keep in mind the police can in a lot of cases. Yeah. In fact, Ma, it's it's really not even okay to talk back to the police. They don't like that. They're there for a mission. And if you start trying to explain yourselves, whoa, they don't like that. You may also end up dead for that, right? You see this all the time. People who are non-compliant are typically met with a response from the police of physical interactions. It happens all the time, especially on roadside stops. Chairman of the board says, how much of these problems are tied back to the police department unions protecting them? I think a lot of it. I mean, ultimately, I think that this is one of the biggest issues is the police unions. I think what the police do, the reason why I think it starts there is because they protect the bad officers. They protect people who shouldn't be on the force, who shouldn't be in those situations. They do it by purging old disciplinary records. I brought this example up. In Arizona, they were getting rid of them after 5 years. So you could be a cop, you could have all this malfeasance, as long as you could kind of stay on the force, go on administrative leave, do whatever you want for 5 years. At the end of 5 years, your record is wiped cleaned. All of those prior acts of misconduct just kind of go by the wayside. And they just stay on the force. And all of these, disciplinary proceedings, all of these internal reviews, a lot of this stuff is kept under lock and key behind closed doors. And so they get away with a lot. I think the police unions are a huge part of the problem. And we'll see if anything can be done about them. Good question, Chairman of the Board. Good to see you. And then lastly, this is not a new question. This is an old question. This came back from Monday when we were talking about Mike Lindell over from MyPillow got a lawsuit filed against him from Dominion for $1.3 billion. And just XUXA, when we were covering that story, he said, look for a gift heading to your office, sweet dreams. And, he probably could tell that I'm looking a little bit tired. I'm looking little bags under the eyes. And so they showed up today. Look at this. MyPillow. We have Mike Lindell in our office here. And I'm looking forward to getting some very nice sleep as a result of my new MyPillow. So thanks, just XUXA. I'm going to rest very, very nicely tonight. I'm going to sleep very sort of nuzzled in here in Mike Lindell's sweet slumber. He's going to sing me a little lullaby tonight about election irregularities, and I'm just going to drift off into a nice little cloud. So I wanted to thank XUXA, just XUXA specifically, for sending that stuff over to my office. I was laughing my butt off. I brought it into the Face office and I said, hey, look, we got pillows. And so absolutely hysterical. Thank you for doing that. I just want to give you a little bit of an extra shout out on the show. All right. So all of those questions came over from locals.com. These are the great people over there who do support us on a regular basis. Always, as always, shout outs to Ma and Miss Faith for helping to keep the train on the tracks over here. I want to say thank you to a few people. A lot of feedback here today from Hack Consulting. Good to see you, my friend. We've got Jamie Boyd also joined up over there on Locals. We've got JT6058. Let's see, anyone else popping up on here? We got Hogdog FXR. Then we've got At Vice. We've got No Doubt. We've got R&R Law Group. Haven't seen them around. Actuarians is in the house. Jax842. Carolina Flying. Then we got a couple new people who joined us over on the platform. We've got Stookie who signed up. We got Anki Woe. We got a question in from Anki Woe today. Good to see you, my friend. Thanks for hopping on and asking questions. And then we also have Nancy Spells Fun, which how can you argue with that? Nancy's are always fun. Well, they're always fun. Love the Nancys. So I want to thank all of the supporters over there on Locals. It really helps us sort of build this little independent platform over there that enables us to have, more conversations and build a bit of a community. And so I want to thank you for heading on over there and supporting us. If you're not already over there, you can get some great stuff if you go over there. Get a copy of my book called Beginning to Winning, How to Fight Your Case and Succeed in the Criminal Justice System. We've got some slides Miss Faith posts over there. We've got a copy of the Existence Systems. I did a Clubhouse today talking about existence systems. I'm sorry you missed that, but we're going to do more of them. We also have the impeachment party templates, which is getting a little stale here. We have some links that people share throughout the day. And of course, the real reason is there's other great people who share a lot of the same commonalities with us, a lot of the same concerns about some of the direction that our country is going, and we want to connect with each other. We want to support one another. And this stuff takes time. It takes a lot of time. I mean, think about all the years and time that YouTube has had to build its platform, and Twitter and Facebook. And so as we, in this new era of technology and media and conversation and First Amendment restrictions and privileges and things like that. We're building a separate platform. And so it takes time. And those of you who are a part of that are literally building the foundation for the future generations. And so I just want to thank you for doing that. Lastly, but not leastly, I am a criminal defense attorney. So if you know anybody who's been charged with a crime in the state of Arizona, we can help. We help good people charged with crimes find safety, clarity, and hope in their cases, but beyond that, in their lives. And we can help with a lot of stuff, things like DUIs, drug offenses, domestic violence, traffic violations. We have criminal traffic violations here in Arizona. Old cases, old arrest warrants, felony charges, major felony cases. We do mugshot removals. We do restoration of rights to get a firearm back, and on and on and on. If you happen to know anybody who needs our help, we would be honored and humbled if you sent them our way. We promise that they'll leave better than we found them, than they found us. And we love what we do. We're pretty good at it. We offer free case evaluations, so we'd be just honored and humbled if we could help out. Thank you for sending them our way. All right. That's it, my friends. Thanks for joining in today one last time. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We'll see you back here tomorrow. Same place, same time, 5 p.m. here in Arizona, 4 p.m. in California on the West Coast, 6 p.m. Texas, 7 p.m. out there on the East Coast, and for that Florida man. Everybody, sleep well tonight. Have a lovely dinner if you haven't already eaten. I'll see you back here tomorrow, revved up and ready to go. Bye-bye.